Hey, welcome back to my channel, Indieauthor Jill, and once again, we're doing another TBR jar pull. I got the camera set up and everything and realized I didn't grab a piece of paper and pen to write down the numbers with. So I'm currently reading the last book from our last jar pool, so I figured, you know what, might as well go ahead and get the next pool started, and then I can have a new stack of books next to the bed or wherever. Right now I've been just kind of putting them on my nightstand, and then they end up getting moved either to the front room, or they stay next to the nightstand, or they go into the car, depending on where I feel like I like reading them. Let's see. 30. That is a terrible 3. Alright, 30. Ooh, a big boy. Okay. Just gonna go ahead and pull these first. I think I'm gonna do it different this time. I think I'm gonna pull them first, and then I will unwrap them. 85. Oh, that one's a smaller one. 92. Have no idea if that's in frame. Another one that's a bit small. Oh. 3. And let's see, one more. And 82. Another one that's kind of smallish. Alright. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Yep, that's 5. Okay. So 82 is... Oh, okay. Thane, Aaron Randolph. They wake up in 6 tasks, 7 strangers, 8 billion lives at stake. They wake up in a sealed compound with no memory of how they got there. A computer voice informs them they need to complete tasks to leave. Failing the task or breaking the rules results in a strike. The first 2 strikes induce extreme pain. The 3rd strike is death. As they all struggle to survive without turning on each other, they have no idea that their actions and decisions could doom humanity or save it. And check out the full cast audiobook. Ooh. He has an audiobook. Okay, this might be a car read then. Okay, put that down. Alright. Let's see. The Adventures of Taram Mun, The Sphere of Time by Stephen F. Black. Who is Taram? What is Zexus? Magic awaits when you open this book. Go on, please. Take a look. Light versus darkness, magic and might. Are you ready to join this fight? Enjoy the adventure. This paperback book has exclusive designs by Bark Smith that are not available in the ebook. Okay. Oh, a map of Zexus. Huh. Some more illustrations. Alright. Oh, and a table of contents. Lovely. Love that. Elemental magic symbols, dark, aqua, light, poison, magma, breeze, and terrain. Seems like the drawings in the beginning, the illustrations in the beginning are the only ones that seem to be in here. I don't see any towards the back or in the middle, so that's cool. I do love a book with illustrations, and especially a book with maps. Okay, 92. Oh! This is a part of a series. This is one of the kind of late entries into the 100 book challenge. The Blackguard Ways of Ascari. And this is part of a saga by R.S. Cobb. In the land of Sol Galnese, two lives embark on a journey to fulfill their destinies. Uzoma and Rue find themselves at Suja Pit, the famed training grounds of the Ascari, the order of warriors protecting the kingdoms. The memories that plague Uzoma feed his desire for vengeance, while Rue is driven to prove his worth to their adoptive father, Baku. However, in the shadow lurks Akachi, an incarnation of malevolence and decay. He inches closer to his goal, growing more depraved and evil with each life he takes. In the ongoing fight against chaos, bonds will be strained and alliances will be challenged, for the representation of failure, repercussions of failure could cost them everything they hold dear. Okay, that one was one I didn't. Like I said, it was a late entry, and I didn't really look at the synopsis of the story. A lot of the early ones I was able to, I took the time to read the synopsis of the story because there weren't quite a lot. Oh, I forgot to write that down. But as they started flooding in, it got harder and harder to look at each and every single one, and it was just all I could do to put the titles down. The Twisted Tree in Wonderland. Okay. By Rebecca Deem. This one I think is one that I saw that was one of the early entries and immediately caught my attention because of I've worked with different kids who are autistic in different callings and different. When I was in a child and development class, we dealt with some kids with autism, and then early on when I was teaching Sunday school, we had a couple of kids that were autistic and dealing with kids with autism can be incredibly challenging, but man, they're so much fun. Life can be challenging, even more so when you live in the wonderland of autism. Charlotte is trying to navigate being a mother of two children on the spectrum while suffering from her own crippling anxieties. The unique challenges that families face with one child on the spectrum are hard enough, but she has two who both have their own unique needs. That is another thing that is one of the things that was interesting to me when I first started dealing with autistic kids is no two you know that no two kids are alike. But a lot of times you can, when kids are dealing with similar situations, for instance, if you have two kids who are dyslexic or two kids who have sensory issues, a lot of times what works for one either will work for another, or something very similar will work for another. Like texture issues, I've had kids with texture issues, and I found that a lot of times those different textures were easy to avoid. It was a lot like knowing the kids' allergies. You don't give peanuts to the kid with peanut allergies. You don't give cardboard to the kid with cardboard issues. And you don't give anything slimy to the kid who has slimy texture issues. That kind of thing was easy to navigate, but you could have two different kids who have autism, and they're going to be so very different. But like I said, I had a lot of fun with the kids that I got to work with. There was one kid that he was verbal, but he couldn't come up with his own sentences. Everything he said was mimicry. Something he'd heard somewhere else. And if you watched the same kind of things he watched, you could understand what he was trying to communicate half the time, because sometimes it was just a random thing, and other times it was a reference to a movie or a TV show that he had watched, and if you understood the reference, you understood, that he was uncomfortable with something, or that he wanted a train or a truck, depending on what reference he'd made. And then there's kids that are non-speaking autism, that have non-speaking autism and nonverbal, and they have their own way of communicating, and so you have to learn how to communicate differently with a lot of kids with autism. And then you have other kids who are high-functioning autistic, but things have to be a certain way, and if they're not that way, it really throws them off their groove. And that can be a bit of a challenge, because if they come to class and they understand the structure, we do this, we do this, we do this, and if something gets thrown out of whack, if for some reason you do a song before you do an activity, when you used to do the activity before the song, that just throws them off. Or if we had one kid that we don't have assigned seats in our classroom, but there was a specific seat she had to sit in, and it didn't matter that it looked like all the other seats. That was her seat. That's the seat she had to sit in. So trying to navigate with a kid who doesn't understand why that particular seat that looks like all the other seats needs to be her seat, and navigating this kid who this is her seat, could be challenging, because this kid, all of a sudden, this kid didn't care about this seat. That's just where they sat. But then this one throws a fit because that's her seat, and now all of a sudden the kid that's sitting in the seat, who didn't care about the seat before, now doesn't want to give up the seat, because for some reason that seat is special, and now they want the special seat. But they didn't see anything special about the seat until another kid was adamant that they wanted that seat. And trying to fight that logic with this neurotypical child who usually doesn't have any problem sitting anywhere, they're trying to compute, why is this seat special? That seat's special because it's the seat with the green mark on it, and literally that was the only difference in the seats. Was some kid had gotten a green crayon on the seat, but for some reason, that's what gravitated towards this one child. And so it wasn't difficult to get the neurotypical kid to give up their seat. And really and truly, like I said, they didn't care about the seat until she threw a fit, and they're like, well, what's special about this seat? Why do I have to give up the special seat? And it's like, it's not a special seat. It's just, that's the one that she always sits in, and that's the one she likes. Could you please move? Well, I want to sit next to my friend. So then you got to rearrange all the kids so that, because these kids don't want to give up their seats because they're sitting next to their friends. So, but you can't move that seat. You can't take a seat that she doesn't want and put it where his seat was so that he can sit next to her friend, because yes, she wants that seat, but that seat belongs in that spot. So you can't just take her seat and put it in a different spot. That doesn't work either. And it was a really interesting way of getting the kids to understand autism and understand that people are different and that they have different peculiarities. And as you know, the class went and they got used to her being in class and used to her different particulars that she needed or wanted or, you know, had to have, they were more than willing to accommodate. And they're like, okay, we don't understand why she wants the seat with the green crayon on it, and we don't know why the green crayon seat has to stay there, but we understand that it's important to her that that seat stays there, and that that's the seat she gets to sit in. And she didn't care who she was sitting next to. All she cared about is that her seat stayed there, and that that was her seat. She could sit next to anyone, you know. And she liked everybody. And really and truly, like I said, they're a lot of fun because they notice things that not every other kid really notices. So we can be in class and all the kids are focused in on different things in the lesson, and like we'll be talking about these brothers. We'll be talking about a story where there's these four brothers. There is the good brother, his two older brothers who are a little bit rebellious. They don't want to do what mom and dad tell them to do. The third younger brother always does what mom and dad tells him to do. And then you got the fourth brother. And nobody really talks about the fourth brother much. It's always about the issues between these two brothers. They're like, hey, I know Dad sent us on an errand, but what if we just didn't do that and just told him that we couldn't do it? And the third brother is like, then that would be lying, and we can't lie to mom and dad. And so these kids are sitting there talking about, oh, the older brothers are doing the wrong thing because they're not listening to their parents, and it was an important errand that Dad sent them on. And the younger brother was right, and they shouldn't have been mean to their younger brother who told them, we need to do the right thing. And then you've got this autistic kid, and they point out, we start talking about the story and the bravery of the third brother for standing up to his older brothers, and the naughtiness of the older brothers not wanting to do the errand their dad sent them on. And this girl, she would be like, well, I think little Sam was very brave. And I was like, wait, who's Sam? And it's like, oh, Sam was the youngest brother. And everybody kind of forgot about Sam because he doesn't really do much. But what he does do is incredibly brave, because as the youngest brother, who can easily get picked on and kicked around and can be easily intimidated by his older brothers, he's got two big brothers who are saying, we need to do our own thing. We don't want to do Dad's errand. And then you've got the third brother that is saying, that's smaller than the two older brothers, and he's standing his ground, and Sam doesn't really say anything, but he also refuses to lie to his parents, and he's like, whatever he says we should do, because what he's saying is right. We should do the task, run the errand Dad told us to do, and not go play and do whatever we want. We should go and do what Dad told us to do. But he doesn't really speak. He doesn't talk. He doesn't speak. He just sits by and kind of quietly watches everything. And then when the third brother is like, we're going to do the task, I'm going to go do the task, the youngest brother is like, yeah, let's go do the task. And it didn't matter that he watched the two older ones beat up his little brother and the third brother, and that the third brother still decided, I'm going to go and do the task even if you don't do the task. The younger brother was all in, like, yeah, let's go do the task. And it was like, oh, yeah, I guess I didn't realize how brave Sam was, because, yeah, he did watch his older brothers beat up his two eldest brothers, beat the younger of his elder brothers, and still, after seeing that and knowing that he might actually get the same treatment, decided, yeah, whatever he says, I'm doing. You know? But yeah, A Twisted Tree in Wonderland. Sorry. The unique challenges that families face with one child on the spectrum is hard enough, but she has two, both who have their own unique needs. Right. Because no two are alike, and again, challenging. She and Matthew have been together for over 20 years and seem to struggle more and more with each day. Matthew's trying to be there for her, but how do you ask for help when you don't even know how to help yourself? Relatable. Their love for each other and their boys is the fuel that keeps them going and fighting every step of the way. They're willing to walk through fire for each other, even if they are the ones who set the blaze. When Charlotte's mother begins a downward spiral from cancer, oh man, her world begins to implode. I do remember reading this. With the support and love of her friends and family, she tries to prepare for what no child is ever ready for, the loss of a parent. How do you survive when the center of your galaxy burns out and leaves a supernova in its wake? The simple answer is you cling to the things that matter the most. For Charlotte, that's her family, her friendships, and healing things that were broken in her from childhood. Yeah. Not only am I looking forward to reading this, I am looking forward to passing this on to some of the parents of the children I've worked for, because I think that they would really like it. A lot of us have had similar situations. I lost my mom to breast cancer, and I've had friends that have lost mothers to ovarian cancer. One lost his mom to a brain tumor. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to lose a parent, and I can't even imagine the pain a parent goes through when they have to bury their children. It's just unfathomable to me. So I don't think either one of them is. I don't think losing someone you really deeply care about is ever easy, regardless of what they are for you. This was one that I immediately saw, and I immediately got a kind of a Pride and Prejudice vibe, but like I feel like this is what Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet would have been if they met and fell in love during the suffragette movement. When a woman with something to say needs a man to make herself heard, not just any man will do. So this is Race with the Rogue with Rebecca Johnson. Maudie Hamilton's politician suitor dumped women's suffrage from his platform, but dumping him in return wasn't enough. Furious and armed with her former beau's insider knowledge and strategy, Maudie is out to find the perfect candidate to champion her cause and challenge him in the upcoming election, since she cannot do it herself. Bored with society and daydreaming of escape out west, Cooper Truxton isn't exactly the right man for the job. He has a reputation as a rogue and a quitter, but he's also got a prominent family, a web of connections, and enough charisma and energy to captivate any crowd. When Maudie, his sister's best friend, Love a sibling's best friend romance. Attacks him for wasting his privileges when women have no rights. He says he'll run for office only if she'll run his campaign. After a string of failed romances, Maudie's focus is on her causes. Cooper, a declared bachelor with a history of vice he's hiding from the voters, thinks he'll have no problem keeping his deepening feelings for her to himself. But when a careless slip-up sets off a rumor that could destroy the campaign only a few weeks before Election Day, he's forced to show his hand a little earlier than he intended. He tells her it's all part of the campaign strategy, but it might take winning the race to win her heart. Okay, so we have a sister's best friend situation and fake dating. I'm here for it. A Truxton historical romance, 1908. Okay, so there's the next lineup. Race with the Rogue, the Twisted Tree in Wonderland, the Blackguard Saga, Adventures of Terramon, and Thane. And I believe for, thankfully, I have another series, like this is a series starter, like I said. But thankfully it is number 1 and we're not going to have a Fragile Focus situation where I'm reading the 5th book in the series. Like I said, I am glad that was a standalone. So it didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. But yeah, there's our lineup for our next shift, our next, I don't know what to call these segments. Yeah, I guess segments. That's our next, that doesn't sound right either. Anyway, there's our next group of books. And we'll get through these and tell you which ones, find out which ones I liked, which ones I didn't, and come back for another set. We are slowly but surely getting through them. Alright? Bye, guys.